Another blood-red sunset and yet another moon phase, and still another 100 miles to my next resting place. Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving.
Hey now all, I'm Joey C. Welcome back to another episode of Spirit Sherpa. This is the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. With me as always is the Spirit Doctor, Kelle Sparta. Hey Kelly.
Hey Joey.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good. My mother-in-law is coming into town in about an hour.
That's good.
Yeah.
You excited?
I am. We haven't seen her in like 2 years.
Oh, wow. And you got the yard already. And
we do.
Everything's all set. Oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Is it a surprise visit or were you planning this for like months?
No, she just called and said, I'm coming like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, then like, everything is well timed.
Yeah. So, you know.
Perfect. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is a wonderful time.
Yeah, we're super excited. We haven't seen her in ages. So
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's a great way to start. And speaking of your mother-in-law and mamas, we're gonna do Mamma Mia today. We are gonna do Mamma Mia, but Kelly, I'll ask the question everyone's thinking: what the heck does Mamma Mia have to do with Spirit Sherpa?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. This is part of our Mythology Series.
It is.
And Mamma Mia, the original, is a modern-day Aphrodite tale. And I say the original because, you know, and we'll talk about this a little bit down the road, but the sequel broke the mythos. And so I was so angry just in the first opening scene that I almost got up and walked out. So it's because they broke they clearly had no idea what they had created when they put this together, because they violated all the rules of it in the sequel. So what I'm going to say to you is, if you've never seen Mamma Mia or the sequel, watch Mamma Mia. Absolutely do not watch the sequel. It doesn't even follow its own internal dynamic. In the original, her mother died. And in the sequel, her mother's alive and is Cher. Yeah. Doesn't even follow its own internal storyline. They just completely rewrote everything. So, yeah.
Well, you also just ruined it. Spoiler alert that the mother died.
No. This was a backstory. It was backstory. So, anyway, terrible.
Also,
terrible
the Titanic
sequel.
sinks.
Yeah, go figure. The reason that this is a modern day Aphrodite tale is because it has, I mean, it's written as that. It is all about Aphrodite. Now, Aphrodite is a unique goddess. Well, not entirely unique, but mostly unique. She actually has 3 aspects. She has a triple aspect. And she has a younger self and an older self in their triple aspect. So she is very interesting in that regard. But as you watch the movie, and I'm not going to give you all of this, I literally have 7 pages worth of notes on why this is an Aphrodite tale and how all the details go in. So I'm going to give you
7 pages of notes on the movie?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because there's just so much. And so, you know, whoever put this together clearly did some research, right? So, but the triple aspects are evident in 3 places in the movie. Go figure, 3 times 3, right? And so you have the mother and her 2 friends, which is Aphrodite Ouranos. And then you have the daughter and her 2 friends, which is Aphrodite Pandemos. And then you have the 3 possible fathers to the daughter. And they serve as the 3rd triple aspect. And so the names are even relevant, right? So Dana is for the goddess Dana, D-A-N-A, which she's a Celtic goddess. She's the creator mother goddess. She's really powerful and magical, and she's great with alchemy and manifestation and divine magic. She's the gateway to the elemental world. Okay. Her last name is Sheridan, which literally means untamed. Okay. She represents sort of the lust for life, right? Tanya, who is her friend who's had 5 husbands and marries well every time. And, you know, she is the lust for men. She is the one who is just the young kid gets the hots for her at the thing. And, I couldn't find a lot of, I couldn't find stuff for Tanya in Greek or Roman myth, but Tanya is in fact an early work of Hasidic philosophy. And it comprises 5 sections. Its formal title that it comes from is, and I'm going to say this wrong, Likutei Amarim, right? Which is a collection of statements, but it's more commonly known by its opening word, Tanya, okay, which means it was taught in a Beriata, which comprises 5 sections that define Hasidic mystical psychology and theology as a handbook for daily spiritual life and Jewish observance. Okay, thank you, Wikipedia. We love you. And so she's the lust for men. And then the third person is Rosie, who is the lust for sensual pleasures or food. She's a food, she's a author of cookbooks in the story. And the rose is actually the flower associated with the goddess Aphrodite. Okay. And if you remember your Da Vinci Code, the rose is also associated with the Mary Magdalene. Rose is also, sub rosa is a statement for things that are kept secret, because a rose was placed over the door when there was a secret meeting, right? And this references the secret of who Sophie's father is, right? And so there's this whole shebang there, right? And they're meeting as a joint structure, the 3 of them. The 3 in 1 is the Dynamos. They used to be in a band called the Dynamos. And it's from the Greek dynamis, meaning power. Okay? So that's just the opening, triad, right? Now, when you have the younger triad, which is Sophie, Ali, and Lisa, these names are a little less obvious, but Sophie is from Sophia, the goddess Sophia, and they actually reference that in the movie. And the goddess Sophia is the goddess of wisdom. She's an expression of the feminine aspect of God in Kabbalistic concepts. Okay, and so she has the 3 potential fathers. She discovers that she's got 3 potential fathers. And this is the male Holy Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? That's the reflection of that. They aren't that in the movie, but that's what you're referencing in the mythological, okay? And Allie, the friend Allie, is probably a reference to the library at Alexandria, okay? Because they're in Greece. So it's most likely a reference to that. And then Lisa, it's if you look up what the word Lisa means, it's God's promise, which, given the feminine aspect of God and everything else, it's all goes in there, right? Now, the younger friends are not very often referenced. They're bit players in the show. So, but holy crap, we haven't even gotten anywhere in the show, and we've got all this reference.
There's a lot of content, even in just what you're talking about. It sounds like they literally took the playbook to make the movie.
Pretty much, which is why I was so horrified when they broke the mythology in the back end, right? So, and it's even into the costuming. The whole premise of the movie is that Sophie's getting married to her partner, Sky. And so Father Sky, right? So she's getting married to Sky. So Wisdom is marrying the Sky. And she's invited, she found her mother's diary, and she has 3 potential fathers, and she's invited all 3 of them, and they're all coming to the wedding. Okay. And unbeknownst to mom, this is the premise of the movie, right? You get that in the first 5 minutes. So I'm not spoiling anything, but they're getting her ready for her wedding, and even the outfits, the bridesmaids dresses and the wedding dress all look like Roman dresses of the time, of the era, the early Roman wardrobe. And the necklaces that the girls wear while they're getting ready have the Stella Maris on them. They're stars. Sophie's got stars, and another one has a heart, and another one has coral. And so even the necklaces are relevant, right? Because Aphrodite is born of the foam of the ocean, right? You know, when you see Venus on a half shell, Venus and Aphrodite are the same goddess. They're just different names for Greek and Roman, right? So Venus is the Roman and Aphrodite is the Greek. And so, you know, we haven't even gotten started, right? And so in the beginning, they've got the men coming in who don't know that they're all potential fathers. They have no idea that this is happening. And they're met by Sophie, and she puts them in the goat house to stay. No, the entire hotel is booked. They run a hotel on this little island. And no, the hotel's booked. You're going to stay in the goat house, in the loft over the goat house. Now, the goat house is Pan, the horned god, right? And he's kind of trickster god, natural god, you know. If you've ever seen A Midsummer Night's Dream, you know who he is, right? That's Puck. Puck and Pan, same thing, okay? And so, you know, here's this great joke she's playing on her mother, right? Perfect for Pan, the horned god. And now you've got one of the men actually has the Eye of Horus on his knees. I'm just saying there's so much stuff in this show, right? I'm going to just leave it at that. But what I want you to know is that there's a scene when Donna's freaking out because she finds out about the men in her goat house, and she comes to her girlfriends and she's like, "Oh, I'm freaking out." And they drag her into the bathroom, and they're, you know, dabbing her tears with Kleenex, and, you know, they're, you know, one of them's pulling open a bottle of Valium, presumably, and handing it to the other to give her. And the other one is like, "Oh, Valium." And she takes it for herself. And, you know, they're sitting there and they're trying to take care of her, but they're also primping in the mirror and making sure everything's okay. And that's a reference to Aphrodite's vanity. The goddess herself is considered to be very vain. You can't have an Aphrodite tale and not reference that. Okay. And so the entire, they actually reference a mythos for the island that they're on, which is Calicari, which is a myth. It's an imaginary island. It doesn't exist in mythology. It doesn't exist in reality. But there is the mythology of the island internal to the movie is that it is the source. It's the location of Aphrodite's well. And at some point, you know, Donna's trying to put the place together to get it ready for people to come. And there's this rumbling and a crack in the courtyard, and it cracks right through the middle of a medallion of a dolphin. Well, dolphin is the symbol of Aphrodite. Okay. And the internal mythology of the island is that that if you drink from Aphrodite's well, that you will find the love of your life. Okay. And sure enough, as we go through the story, everyone finds the love of their lives, and everybody's paired up, and the well explodes in one scene and is just showering everyone with water, which is, you know, a reference to sex in addition to it's fertility and sex and connection and love and all this other stuff. And so there's that. And it's this wonderful tale. And the most powerful moment in the movie, from my perspective, is the moment where they're doing Dancing Queen. Because the whole storyline is that Donna got pregnant, didn't know who the father was, went home to her mother, the devout Catholic, who threw her out, and she had to go make her own way in the world. She had a baby, and a woman that she took care of donated, when she died, she left her some money. And turns out that the woman that she took care of was one of the father's Aunt Sophia, for whom Sophie was named. And he said, well, I always heard that her money went to family, right? It's like, could be. Who knows? We don't know. And so, she ends up buying this little bed and breakfast on the island, and then lives this very austere life, barely getting by, raising her daughter on her own. And basically her light goes out. Her lust for life dies. And the entire show, the entire movie is her friends going, oh, no, we can't have this. Let's go. Dynamos, dynamite, blah, blah, blah. Eat, sleep all day and what boo all night, right? It's can you tell I've seen the movie a lot? Anyway, the upshot is that part of the story arc is Donna coming back into a desire to live, finding her life again. And part of the storyline is Sophie realizing she doesn't have to know who her dad is in order to know who she is, and to live her life and know what she wants out of life. And so, you've got these story arcs that are happening within the process. And part of, the moment of Donna's awakening is that Dancing Queen moment, where she goes from hiding under the covers to jumping up and down on the bed, and then leading this long line of women down to the water's edge. And, they go by this one woman who's carrying this huge thing of twigs on her back, this massive thing. And she just goes, okay. And she throws it off and goes, yeah, running down to the water's edge. And the men are scared, and the women are stepping into their power. And it's this moment of stepping forth into her power as the goddess that she is, and remembering who she is, right? And that's why that scene is just like, oh, yes, right? It's because it is the claiming of the feminine goddess power. And this is one of the reasons why it was so popular, is because it referenced this very strong mythos, this Aphrodite mythos. And yet, nobody seemed to know that that's what it was doing, even though it seemed to be very clearly designed around that. So I'm not sure how that happened.
Now, did they not even know what they were doing? Did they not have that plan? Have you researched that?
I looked for some research on that, and I did not find anything. So I don't know how you can have this many things, but, it could be. Right?
It is extremely loaded for them not to have designed the movie around that. That's remarkable.
Is. But the fact that they broke it in the second one implies that they may not have, that it may have been being channeled from the collective unconscious.
Or that the second one was just trying to make more money. And
I looked, and it was the same author.
Yeah, the
same. Yeah. So they wanted to make more money, and they broke the mythos because Cher was insisting on being in the movie. But yeah, it's got its own thing. So Tanya, the one who's been married 5 times, this young kid who's like 20, right, is is like all about her. He's just like, give me a date. And she's like, oh, and so the entire movie is built around ABBA songs. And so this particular scene is, does your mother know that you're out? Right? It's that. And she's tying a diaper on him, the whole 9 yards. And so, but he's got all of his man friends dancing on the beach with them. And she's sitting there with with Sophie's friends. And she's going, watch how it's done, girls, and just, in her element, in her power. And all these men are all about her, and they're lifting her up and, swinging her around in the show. And at the end, she's like, whew, and she blows them all over and they all fall down. And she's like, and that's how it's done, girls. Right. That's, she's in her feminine power in that. And so there's so much in the movie that is this call to feminine power, right? And so there are side little things. It's the young kid trying to get Tanya, and then it's the writer who travels the ocean as a lone wolf, and Rosie, the writer who writes her cookbooks, and her chasing him down and him running away, and and her saying, "Come on, take a chance on me." That's so. And then Pierce Brosnan, who can't sing, but is the love interest for Donna, Meryl Streep, who's brilliant in anything she does. But the entire show is a testament to that. And then, so it's even done as a ritual. The entire movie is even done as a ritual. The opening and closing scenes are Sophie on the water, and it's bookended, right? And she is now going off into the world to explore herself and her life with her partner. And the three fathers are standing on the dock to see her off. It's a beautiful closing scene. And Donna is standing there with her 3 potential fathers, seeing her off. And, she's holding down the fort at home while the young self goes out to conquer the world, right? It's that, yes, that is how things are meant to be sort of thing, right? And so it is this joyful romp through love and power and lust and sex and, this awakening of self. Right? And if you have not seen it, you should see it.
Well, if people have not seen it, after hearing this, they're going to want to see it. They're probably going to want to see it with your notes there, I can imagine.
Yeah, I have to retype them because I don't know what happened to the original file.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the as I said, there's 7 pages of notes, and some of them are the lyrics to the shows because the lyrics are relevant to the storyline. But it is visually stunning, and it is a mythology tale, right? So here's the thing about mythology, right? You can hear the original mythos told, or you can see a modern day interpretation of it. What you have to recognize is that the original mythology was the modern day interpretation at the time it was written. Okay. So I always look for things like Mamma Mia, where you can see the modern day interpretation of the mythology because it makes it more relevant to us, right? It makes it more viscerally experiential, which is why Mamma Mia, the stage show and the movie took off so strongly, is because they were referencing and tapping into the morphic field of the Aphrodite mythos and bringing it into modern form. That's why it was so profoundly successful and had such an impact on so many people. But if you're feeling like you don't know how to touch your own power, if you're feeling like you don't have a lust for life anymore, if you're feeling like you really aren't clear what you're supposed to do with yourself and your life and what to do about that, this movie is the one I would go to.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Kelle's promotion for Mamma Mia. You should have done the original promo for the movie. You'd have more people watching it. Holy smokes. Well, we have learned a lot today about Mamma Mia, how it ties into the Aphrodite tale. Is there anything you want to sort of add here as we come to close on this topic?
Right now, more than ever, women need to come into their power. You know, we are dealing, especially in the U.S., we are dealing in a time of very complicated manipulations and power grabs in the political landscape. And you know, I'm about to do a rant in my Using Energetics to Make Business Easier group because a bank that I bank with has just changed their branding, and they did it so badly. And they were standing for, you know, women business owners. They had special programs around women business owners, and they changed their brand to something that's so masculine it's not even funny. And you know, just the thing that I was saying, that they've changed their name to Primus, is Primis, but they call it Primus, which is bad pronunciation, and you're calling a bank for women Prim Us. What's wrong with this picture, right? So, you know, there's when you look at how women have been culturally inculcated, right? So we have to acknowledge that in the U.S., anywhere in the world, but in the U.S. I'm talking about right now, but women have been culturally inculcated, and our job is to be the connectors and the harbingers of the relationship, and, you know, the nurturers, and we're the community builders, right? And when you connect it to something like Primus, right? It's like, I'm the best. Women aren't going to associate with that, right? And this is the thing that I'm saying about the political landscape as well, is that we need more women. We need more women to step into their power, not just in politics, but just in general, because women are community builders. When we do things, we want to do it. We want to bring everybody else with us. We want to do it with our friends. We want to network, and, you know, we're a rising tide raises all ships people, not I'm going to climb on top of you to be the best. Right. We do that, and we want to do that. And so that's really what we need right now in the U.S. in particular, is this sense of community. We have lost our sense of community. And it is more important than ever that women step into their power, whatever role they're in. It's more important than ever that we step into our power, because we have to hold that intention of community. We have to hold that intention of caring for others. We have to hold that intention of raising the tide, rather than, you know, everybody for themselves. And there is so much everybody for themselves right now. It's making me a little nuts. And so, you know, this movie is very timely in that regard, because it supports that concept. It's an inspirational ride into your power. And for the women specifically, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are, because of the challenged childhood, you've probably got a massive well of rage. And, you know, that well of rage often keeps us from claiming our power. And you don't have to punish yourself for being angry, because, you know, when we don't pay attention to our own emotions, that anger can bleed out and we wreak havoc around us. And that's why we punish ourselves, right? But you can instead use that anger to fuel your intentions. Don't engage the rage, just tap the rage, right? So you're going to say, well, screw this. I am not letting X, Y, or Z get in my way. I must move forward. And I'm come hell or high water. I am getting there. And use that rage to fuel the hell or high water, right? And that's how you can give yourself permission to claim your power without having cleared the rage entirely yet. Okay. And if you want to clear the rage, come and talk to us. The Inner Peace program is a great way to do that. But until then, this is a good pathway to help you do that.
Perfect. There was something else I did want to touch on, that, you talked about Inner Peace, and what I think is important is that people are keeping in contact with you. We talk about the Facebook group, Spirit Sherpa by Kelle Sparta Facebook group, but also something we haven't talked about in a little while is your mailing list, right? It's people should be signing up, joining that mailing list, because that's another way that they could get updated information on what's going on with you, right?
Yeah, I will say I don't mail as often as I post in groups. I'm much more social media oriented, but I do send things out periodically on the mailing list. You'll get a mail from me every month or two.
So it's not overburdened with mail.
You will not get an email every day. I don't have the time and patience for that. But when I have something to say, if I launch a new program, if I have something that's relevant to say, then I'll put something out. Occasionally, if I every now and again I get inspired and I'll put together all the podcasts that I've been interviewed on, and I'll send out an email that has all of the list of things that weren't in my regular feed stuff. But yeah, it's not a lot. So, but yes, the mailing list is a great way to be guaranteed that I will stay in touch with you at some point. The other thing I'm going to say is that, and our listenership is back up now that so many states are opening up. So welcome back if you've been gone for a while, right? Because you weren't listening because you only listened in the car on your commute. But share the podcast with your friends. We'd really appreciate it if you feel like you got value out of it and you want to say thank you. The best thank you can give us is to share the podcast. And if you don't have anybody that that would appreciate it, then rate it. And leave a nice review. And that's a great way to say thank you too.
And that's a way for others who you may not know to be able to find the podcast, is through your ratings and things. Perfect. All right. Kelle, isn't before we jump out, or have you said everything you have to say?
Power up, ladies.
Power up, indeed. All right. That is all that we have for this week. But be sure to join us next time as Kelle adds another chapter into your guide to energy, magic, and the spirit world. I am Joey C., here with Kelle Sparta, and you have been listening to Spirit Sherpa. So long, everyone.
Bye.
Each mile I travel over 13,000 now.
Spirit Sherpa is the sole property of Kelle Sparta Enterprises and is distributed under a Creative Commons BY-NC-ND 4.0 license. For more information about this licensing, please go to www.creativecommons.org. Any requests for deviations to this licensing should be sent to kelly@kellesparta.com. To sign up for or get more information on the programs, offerings, and services referenced in this episode, please go to www.kellesparta.com. This episode of Spirit Sherpa has been produced by Honu Voice Productions, with post-production by Christopher Wright.
Into my home and my love and my life and